All right, so welcome to the Gentle class this week. It's the first week of our new session for spring, and the overall theme is resilience and thriving. And our theme for today is what's called resourcing. So it's a way of building resilience is to have resources that we can use when anytime really, but especially when we're feeling stressed. And so when we're feeling stressed, our nervous system does this wonderful thing. It sends adrenaline into our body. It gets us ready to do some fighting or some running or whatever we need to do to get out of the situation. But most of the time, we don't need that response these days in our bodies. We don't actually need to run away from a threat. We generally don't need to fight, although we do sometimes, but we generally don't need to. And so what happens is that energy kind of builds up in our system and creates a feeling of overall stress. And when that stress is chronic, it can impact our health. And it's possible that many of us are walking around in a sort of chronic state of stress without even being really aware of it. So our society or our way of living is kind of stressful in general, right? It moves at a very fast pace, and we've got lots of things vying for our attention all of the time. And so if we can kind of slow things down, which is in general what a yoga class does, is it slows things down a little bit and come back into our center and find a place inside where we feel resourced, where we feel strong, where we feel good in our bodies. So we're going to cover a whole bunch of different ideas today, different ways of resourcing. And I will send them out for those of you who are in the session. I will send them out with the email later today, some of those resources, so you have something to refer to after the fact rather than just trying to remember it all. So we'll start briefly seated today. So if you have a comfortable seat, you can sit down. If you want to use a chair, that's fine, or you can sit on the floor or a cushion, whatever is comfortable for you. We'll start there and we'll go from there. So one of the things that I find very, very helpful, and in terms of nervous system regulation or bringing the nervous system back to a place that feels regulated, working with the idea of grounding. It's the idea of feeling connected to the earth. So when we're stressed out, part of our brain kind of goes offline. The higher thinking, functioning part of our brain goes offline as we get ready to run away or to fight. Right? And messages from our body, when we get tense, a message from our body goes to our brain saying, oh, there's tension. Let's get ready to fight or fly, right? We clench our jaw, same kind of thing. We start breathing in a more shallow way, same thing. So the brain sends messages to the body, right? Sends adrenaline and sends a message to the body to fight or to flee, but the body also sends messages back to the brain, right? So when we have tension, when we come into that fixed gaze, right? When we are startled and we kind of the eyes open and we're looking in one place, that tells the brain, uh-oh, there's a threat. Breathe in a shallow and a constricted way, same thing. So when we come into some of these tools we're going to use today, what they are is a message from the body back to the brain saying, it's cool, we're good, we've got this under control. You don't need to shoot us up with hormones and get us all excited to do something. We're fine. So one of the ways to do that is to have a sense of being grounded. So I invite you to feel your sit bones. So those two bones on the bottom of your pelvis, and sometimes wiggling around can help you to access and to locate those two pressure points in the bottom of your pelvis. And then feel whatever is connected to the ground. And that might be through a chair, through a mat, it doesn't matter. So whatever is sort of with gravity on the ground, feel that support of that pressure. And just let yourself arrive right here. You can close your eyes if you like. Hands resting comfortably on your lap or on your thighs or knees, in your lap, wherever you like. Shoulders dropping down and away from the ears. And letting the breath come and go in as relaxed a way as possible. So I mentioned our breath is one way that we signal the brain. So when we breathe in a relaxed way, the brain gets the message that everything is okay, we're relaxed. And then let's take a moment here. So I know sitting maybe not be the most comfortable position for you. So if you're not comfortable, please adjust, move, come into another position if you need to. So I'm going to invite you now to just tune into where in your body there's a good feeling, a positive feeling, or even a neutral feeling. So there may be pain, there may be discomfort, there may be tension in your body. So certainly you can acknowledge that, but I'm inviting you to see if you can find a place that feels good. Even if it's just your left pinky fingernail. And good can just be the absence of pain, the absence of tension, the absence of discomfort. But finding some place in your body, if possible, and noticing that it feels good, it feels relaxed. And if there's no such place in your body today, that is totally fine. We're going to use lots of other tools today. But resourcing within the body can be very, very powerful because no matter what happens outside of us, we always have this safe, comfortable place that we can come back to within our bodies. So where for you feels okay or feels good right now. Great. And then a couple more pieces here. So we're going to now open the eyes and just start to take in the space around you. So just looking around your space, noticing the colors, the textures. And this is called orienting. So we're orienting ourselves to our space. You can do this anywhere, certainly in your own home is, lots of familiar things to look at, but you can do this wherever you are. And the idea here is that it takes us out of our tunnel vision. So when we get stressed out, we tend to have tunnel vision, and certainly if we are startled. So imagine a loud sound somewhere over there, and you will probably jump, tense up, you might duck down, and you're going to turn to look at that spot. Everything else disappears, right? It's this hyper focus. So when we orient, when we look around, when we let the eyes wander, when we open our peripheral vision and see what's outside of our focused gaze, we're also giving our brain the message that there's no threat, right? Because if there was a threat, we'd be like this. So all of these tools just over and over, stacking on top of one another to let our brains know that we're okay. Right? So many pieces of our body and our posture tell our brains that we're stressed every day without our even knowing it. Slouching, did you know slouching tells your brain you're stressed? Right? I don't know if you noticed when I looked that way, I crunched down and looked, that's what's called the duck response. We duck, right? We crouch down and the head lifts up to look around. That is how most of us tend to sit these days, right? So good posture in itself tells the brain there is no threat. I'm sitting here comfortably. Everything is good, right? So allowing the gaze to open, and then we'll bring one more piece into this. We're going to take the arms out to the sides, lift up. Big stretch up, bring the hands together and bring them down into the space in front of your chest. And let's pause here. So I'm going to invite you now, if it feels right for you, if it feels alive for you right now, you could create an intention for this practice. So an intention could be something really simple. It's often best if it's really simple. So it could be something as easy as, or maybe not easy, but as simple as dropping the shoulders and noticing if your shoulders creep up during the class. Or maybe noticing if you clamp your jaw or tighten your abdomen. Maybe you just want to have an intention of being more present, of noticing when your mind wanders. So take a moment. And if nothing comes to you, don't force it. You can do this whole class without an intention. But intention setting allows us to be more focused on what it is that we want to achieve. And if you've come up with an intention, and even if you haven't, you can lift the hands. Again, big stretch up. And then send that intention out into the space around you. Right. So we've been sitting for a few minutes, so if you need to stretch your legs out and give them a little bit of a shake to wake them up, you can do that. We're going to come to lie down now, so you can just go ahead and come to the ground if you're on a chair or anywhere else, and otherwise just coming right down onto your back. The hands can be on your body here or on the ground. Your feet can be on the floor, or they can be, your legs can be stretched out. So you're really just trying to find a comfortable position for you here. And we'll pause for a moment. So another resource here is slowing down, right? When we are stressed, we tend to get very fast, right? We're running, we're fighting, not literally necessarily, but we tend to just try to put all our energy into resolving the situation. And when we're relaxed, we slow down. So let your brain know that there's no threat now by slowing down, tuning in, and being present with your body, with your breath. And if you create an intention for the class, as we go through the class today, you might come back to that intention from time to time to really help direct your attention during the class. Okay, so today overall, working with the body in a way that allows it to open and to be relaxed. We always want to get a yes from our bodies when we're doing any kind of physical practice, right? Especially something like yoga where we're stretching and moving. So that means if it feels good, do it. If your body says yes, go ahead and do it. If your body says no, then listen to that and honor that. So if it's a yes for your body, you're going to bring your knees up into your chest. And you can hug the knees in and maybe rock gently from side to side. If anything here doesn't feel good to you, you're going to modify or skip whatever we're doing if you can't find a way of doing it that does feel good to you. And when we honor our bodies, again, it's giving our brain the message that there's nothing to be stressed about. If we're forcing and pushing our bodies constantly, then the brain thinks there's some stress to be dealt with. You can start to circle the knees now if that feels good for you. And circling one way and then the other. And then coming back to the center, you can keep one knee in and extend the other leg on the ground. And then if you want to do a little movement with this leg that you've kept in towards your body, you can go ahead and circle or move from side to side with that leg. And really honoring, tuning into what feels good, and when you leave that zone of feeling good, finding your way back. So really inviting permission from your body. And as a yoga teacher of many, many years, I can say that I've been in classes where I've seen, it seems to me that sometimes not everyone is honoring their bodies. Their faces tense up, their bodies tense up. But you can bring that foot to the floor now and bring the other knee in. And again, you can extend the opposite leg if that feels comfortable for you. And again, you might add a little movement. So if your face starts to screw up, your body tenses up, those are good indications that your body maybe is having a more subtle no to what you're asking than maybe you're able to hear in the moment. So listen to your body. That tension tells a story. Okay, and then bringing that foot back to the floor, you can bend the other knee again, so both feet are on the floor. And we'll shift and lift the hips and shift them so that they feel centered. So if that movement shifted your hips a little bit, you just want to lift them up, bring them back down in a way that feels aligned and feels centered. And now taking the arms out to the sides, away from your body, and you can let the knees go a little bit each direction and just enough to feel your weight shift across the back of your sacrum, so that flat area at the back of your hips. And then if it feels right for you, and again, even though these are pretty easy movements that we're doing, just really tune in. Does it feel right for you if you ask your body to go a little further? And if you go slowly, can you find the point where your body says, that's enough? And then you'll come back to center and try going the other direction. Same thing, move slowly, and if your body says that's enough before your legs come to the ground, then you're going to honor that. So slowly, side to side. You don't even have to worry about what your breath is doing as long as you're breathing. And tuning in, noticing, am I honoring my body? Helping my body to be more resourced through trust. My body trusts that I will listen. And if it's a no for your body, you're welcome to do anything else that might feel good, or rest, or go back to whatever we were doing right before, right? So just rocking might feel good for you. You can stay with that. Right. Again, if you feel like you've come a little out of kilter with the hips, spine, or shoulders, you can lift up and then bring your hips back down, and then knees to chest. So now we'll go forward and back, so you can just let your hands rest over your knees and move the knees towards you and away from you. Notice what you feel. So next week we'll be looking more at felt sense, being in the body with sensation. But for now, use this as another resource, tuning in and noticing. When we're stressed, we tend not to notice our bodies. Right? This is really important, right? If we're being chased by a lion and we get bit by that lion, we're not going to feel it in that moment, so that we can keep running or keep fighting. And so when we tune in and we start to feel our bodies, and you can circle the hips now if that feels good, or any other movement here that you like. Right, again, so moving the body in a relaxed way. feeling the body, tuning in and feeling. All of these things help our brains to understand that it's not stress that we need to deal with right now. Right, and let's bring the feet back to the ground. Right. So another tool that we can use here is to take the arms wide and open this area of the chest. So if you remember a few minutes ago, a little while ago, I mentioned that we tend to kind of round and go almost fetal when we get stressed or startled. So here, if we take the arms to the sides, let the chest open. This very open position, again, is letting the body know that everything is okay. Now, I should also say that if you bring your arms into this position and you suddenly feel panicked or stressed or vulnerable or upset, then change positions. Bring your hands into your body, right? So we want to listen to the body and respond in a way that respects the body. Right? So if this is telling your body that there's no threat, but you feel threatened here, then it's not working for you right now, right? So anything I say, if you have the opposite response, if you feel stressed by it, then you don't want to do that. You want to choose something that feels good. You can always come back to the resource place in your body that feels good at any time. So a few more breaths here. Feel the ground. Come back to your intention. Great. And then when you're ready, you can slowly bring your arms down to your sides. Great. And then maybe stretch your legs out on the ground. And we're going to give them a shake. So you're just going to bounce your legs like you're kind of walking or running on the spot, lying down, just waking up the energy in the legs. Good. You can lift your arms, give them a shake towards the sky. And then let your body relax for a moment. Grounding breath, slowing things down. Right, so we're going to change positions now. So you can bend your knees, roll over onto your side. Use your opposite hand to support you. And you can come upright. And then from here, we'll move right over onto all fours. So after lying and sitting for a while, getting some movement all through the spine, the torso, the rib cage, the hips, with this very simple cat-cow movement, simple but very effective. So hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. You're lifting your tail as you draw the chest forward, keeping the neck relaxed. Take a breath in. And then as you round your back, you can exhale. Bringing the head down, tucking the tail under, and then soft elbows. So we don't want to lock the joints. Exhale, rounding. Being rigid can also be a way of expressing stress in the body. Right? Being locked in our joints, being tense in our bodies. So can you find fluidity here and softness in the elbows, softness in the shoulders, ease in the neck. And then with that sense of ease and softness, bringing it into whatever movement might feel good now. So it might be circling your hips around, it might be letting your head hang and move from side to side. Maybe the hips want to move from side to side. Maybe you want to stay with the cat-cow movement. So explore. Tune in. See what would feel good. And then I'm going to invite you into any version of child's pose that works for you. So that could be keeping your hips up in the air and being on your forearms. If that's easier, on your knees or ankles. You could move back more, hips coming toward your heels, chest toward your thighs. Maybe your head rests on your hands, either stacked like fists or flat. Maybe you rest on the ground. Arms can be up overhead, back beside your feet. The knees can be apart or together. So I just gave you about 10 options for things that you can explore in child's pose. So I invite you to explore what would feel good for you. And if child's pose doesn't feel good, again, listen to your body. Maybe you just want to stay with cat-cow or lie down on your belly for a moment to relax. So find the position that works for you, and we'll spend a few breaths here, tuning into your breath, feeling a sense of expansion and then grounding, dropping into the earth with each breath. And then emerging from this shell, coming up, we'll come onto the forearms now. So your knees are under your hips and your elbows are now underneath your shoulders, hands out in front. And we'll lift up the hands so the palms face forward and then bring them down. And then we're going to shift the baby fingers. So we're taking the hands and sort of turning them, angling them to the sides, and then angling them in towards each other on the mat. So you're basically doing this on the mat, hands out, hands in, right? And then we're lifting and lowering the hands. So just working a little bit with the wrists before we come back to, it's almost like you're sweeping your fingers across your mat, giving the wrists a little movement before we come back onto all fours. So then, when you're ready, if you feel good, you can come back onto hands and knees. So here, we'll lift one leg, stretch it straight back. I'm gonna have to move forward here because I got a wall there. Reach back, breathe in, exhale, come down. Reach back as you breathe in, exhale, come down. Always the breathing cues are suggestions. If you want to breathe in a pattern that's different, obviously inhale, exhale is the pattern for breath. But if you want to breathe more slowly, more quickly, or it doesn't work for you to breathe in coordination with the movement, then do what your body responds best to. Right? For those of you who are feeling a little more balanced, you can take opposite arm and leg each time rather than just the legs. Opposite arm and leg. If you try to do the same arm and leg, it's very tricky. It's very difficult to balance. So opposite arm and leg gives you a little bit more ease. Great. And then we'll come to, actually we'll stay on all fours. We'll come to tuck our toes under. So giving a little stretch to the feet. So I really encourage you to be gentle with your feet here. If you have any kind of issues with your toe joints, arthritis or anything like that, you're not going to put any weight here. Even just tucking your toes under might not be comfortable. And if you're comfortable here, you can shift your weight back, honoring your knees, right? So if your knees don't like this, you won't go as far, and shift forward. So we're just trying to give a little stretch to the feet now. Shifting back, feeling that stretch, and coming forward. So I did this earlier today and my feet were so tight. And now as I'm doing it, I can feel that, having done it a few times today, that my feet are now more of a yes to this, but they were definitely a no earlier. So if your feet are a no, you can come back, go back to the cat-cow or any movement that feels good, maybe child's pose if you prefer. And if you want a little more stretch for your feet, you're going to put a little more weight back on your feet. So you're just walking your hands back. If it feels okay, You can bring your hands up onto your knees and sit right back. And there's just no way I could do this earlier. So if your feet are fresh at this today, this may be too much. It may be too much any day. So really listening here. Taking the weight off as you need to. And then in between, you can come forward. You can point your toes and just give a little sort of pat, shake against the ground. And then maybe one more time. Tucking your toes, stretching your feet, finding where is your easeful limit. So you might be able to do a lot more, right? But earlier I could sit here if I had to, but I was really tense. And now it feels much more relaxed. So really finding what works for you, right? Now we're going to come to a standing forward bend. If it's okay with you to come to a squat first, you can come right up. So you just lift your knees up. I say it like it's easy, but it might not be so easy. Or you can find your way to a standing forward bend by coming into this kind of a position and stepping up from here. So however you get there, bring your elbows up onto your thighs. If you have any kind of issues with blood pressure, high blood pressure, or if you have pressure in your head, your sinuses, ears, or eyes, you're going to keep your head in line or above your heart. If all of those things are good for you and you want to go deeper into the forward bend, you can let your body hang, let your head come down. We'll take a couple more breaths here. Great. And then when you're ready to come up again, I'm going to give you a couple of cautions. So if you have issues with your spine, if you have herniated discs or you have osteoporosis in your spine, you're going to bring your hands first to your knees and then come upright. And otherwise, you can roll up. So you can round the back and roll up, letting your arms be heavy, letting your head come up last until you're eventually standing upright. So coming to mountain pose. So your feet are about parallel to one another, hip distance apart. Good. And let's come back to a feeling of being grounded. Right, so a feeling of what is connected to the earth, softening into that connection and letting everything else kind of drop down. So shoulders drop, jaw releasing. A little softening in your belly maybe if you tend to hold tension there. Right, so one of our principles of grounding and then orienting. You can either look around your space or just widen your peripheral vision to take in all that's around you. And come to your breath. And then if you had some place in your body that felt good when we were lying down, how does it feel now? Can you still access that same good feeling in your body, or has it changed? Great. And then once more, you can reconnect with your intention. So what was your intention if you had one today? And are you in alignment with that intention right now? So we are now going to take the feet a little bit wider apart and soften the knees. You can bounce a little bit. And bouncing is great because it just helps to kind of release tension. And bring your hands onto your hips. And let's start with little tiny circles, barely moving. Just little circles with the hips. And for me, not much sensation there. If that's the case for you and you want to take your circle a little bit bigger, you can take it a little bit bigger. And if you still feel that that isn't quite enough for you, you can make your circles a little bigger. Almost like you're spiraling, starting small, spiraling into a bigger circle, and letting your body give you feedback as to when your circle feels big enough, or maybe it's bigger on one side because one hip feels really good today and the other one doesn't feel quite as good. And then you can try going the other direction. And as you go this time, you can start to spiral back inward. So from the biggest good feeling circle, noticing when sensation kind of goes away, right? So with a bigger circle, I feel a lot of movement in my hips, I feel a lot of sensation, and I don't feel much as I come to these little circles. So notice for you, where does that shift, where does that change? And then coming back, you can let your arms release down to your sides. Again, we want to keep the knees soft, so we all, I think, I see a lot, have a tendency to lock the knees when we're standing. And then when we lock the knees, what tends to happen, so if I have soft knees, my pelvis is level, my spine is nice and neutral, and as soon as I lock my knees, I tend to kind of just slouch, my hips kind of collapse forward, shoulders collapse. I don't know if you're looking at the screen, you can see the difference. As I bend my knees, I come into this really nice, relaxed, upright, and aligned position. So we're going to keep that. Lifting one arm, reaching up, breathing in, and then exhale as you reach over. Let the lower arm be relaxed. Come up as you switch arms. You can breathe in if you're coordinating breath here. Exhale, again, if you're coordinating breath. Inhale, exhale. So like a little half windmill, going one way and the other. Soft knees, long spine, relaxed lower arm. Good, and let's come back to the center. So now you can take one foot and turn it to the side. The other foot you can just play around to find the angle that feels good for you. And bend the knee that you've turned all the way to the side. And then look down at that knee. So you want to feel that your knee and your toes are pointing in the same direction. Your knee is right over your ankle. Right? So it's not twisting in or out. It's not going past your ankle or before your ankle. So as much as possible, knee over your ankle. And then arms out to the sides. So if you want this pose to be more challenging, wider legs. Right? You can wiggle the back foot away. Keeping the knee over the ankle, you have to sink down to stay in the pose, so it gets a lot more challenging. If you want it to be easier, you can wiggle that foot in, and then this knee isn't bent as much, and you're in a nice grounded position. So find where you feel grounded, where you feel strong, where you feel good. Arms are to the sides. You can look over your front hand. And then notice what you see in your peripheral vision. So you're looking straight out over your hand, but you're still aware of what's around you. Great, now let's take that hand, drop it down to the knee. Again, check that the knee is over your ankle. If you like, you can bring your forearm down to your thigh if you prefer, hand on the knee, whatever you like. And then we'll work with this upper arm. So we're just going to bring it down by the hip for now. And then reaching down toward the ground, lifting up and bringing that arm back around. So it's a little circle. It's almost like you're trying to pick something up and swing it around your head. So again, reach down. And you've got this hand on your knee for support. And if it's troublesome for your lower back at all, don't reach down, just a circle right here for that shoulder. Great, and this time as you're coming up, let's open the arms again. Warrior two, straightening the leg and release the arms. Turn your feet so they're parallel again, and let's bring the feet together and pause. So nice, easeful breaths. Feel the ground beneath you. Let your gaze be wide. Right, so we're telling our brains over and over and over, no matter what you think is stressful, we're good, we got this. Down here in Command Central, giving the message to the brain, we've got this. So let's take the feet wider again. And again, as wide as you want to go, it's going to make it more challenging. Narrow will be a little easier. And this time we will take the other foot and turn it out. Again, play around with the angle of the back foot. For most people, slightly turned in towards the other foot works. For some people, it just depends on the knees, the ankles, the hips. I've seen with the foot turned out or straight. So you find what works best for you. As you bend this knee now, making sure that it's tracking straight over your ankle. So that's side to side as well as front and back. And just approximate. So if you don't have a mirror or a ruler, it's okay. And then arms to the sides, roughly parallel to the ground, hands stretched out. You can look over the hand that corresponds to the bent knee. Breathing. And as you're looking off your fingertips, be aware of your peripheral vision. What's going on around you? Don't have to be distracted by it, but being aware. Okay, and then we'll let the hand come to rest on the leg. The other hand can come down towards the hip. And again, you can either just do some circles with this arm, or you can add that bending over as if you're picking something up from the ground and swinging it around your head. Make sure you're breathing. Don't worry about how you're breathing here. Just breathe. As you're coming around, you can lift back up to warrior two, arms to the sides. And then we're going to straighten that leg, turn parallel, bring your arms down, and we'll step the feet in side by side. Great. Coming back to mountain pose, back to feeling grounded. You might bring your intention back into your mind if you've lost that thread. Come back to your breath, soften your joints. So if your knees are locked, soften them. You can release them a few times, bending and straightening. And then we'll move into a forward bend to bring balance back after the side bend. So breathing in, you can lift the arms up. Exhale, bend your knees, come forward. Let your head release down if that's appropriate for you. Coming back up with the breath in. So you can keep the arms a little bent as you come up, the way I am, or you can stretch them straight overhead if you prefer. The main thing here, soft knees, soft neck, releasing the head. Right, and one more. And coming up and release. Great. So if you have a chair and you want to use it to help you balance, or it could be bringing your hand to the wall if that's handier than a chair, you may not need it. So it depends on how balance is for you today. Some days it's strangely easier than other days. So we're going to bring the weight onto one foot, come up onto the other, either your toes, or you can lift the foot right up to circle the ankle around. Make sure you're breathing. Always so important and easy to forget when we're doing something new or that requires some concentration. Great, and then we're going to have the knee bent a little bit, and you can stay where you were. I'm just showing you from the side if you're looking at the screen. So you can have just the toes on the ground, so just lifting that enough, keeping the upper leg stationary and just letting the lower leg, it's almost like you're kicking or swinging that lower leg. Great. And then with the same leg, you can take a break if you need to, especially if your standing leg is getting tired. But with that same leg, you can bring the hand to the hip and circle around. So the whole leg now is circling, so we're getting the hip. So we worked with the ankle, the knee, and now the hip. Great, and come back. You can release back to mountain pose, so both feet on the ground. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel your connection to the ground. Slow down, take a breath. Be in this moment. You might feel a bit lopsided, so we'll fix that up by coming into the same movements on the other side. So if you're using a chair and you want to move it to the other side, or if you want to just turn around, you know what's coming, you don't need to see. So again, you can come onto the toes and circle with your toes on the ground, or circle your ankle by lifting the foot, whatever is right for you. Right, and then just lifting the knee enough so you can swing the leg, so the upper leg more or less stays stationary, and the lower leg, like you're kicking or swinging that leg. Okay, and then you can take a break if you need to. Bring the hand to the hip, and we'll circle from that whole hip joint. So lifting the whole leg, circling around a few times. And coming back to mountain pose. Feel your hips, feel your knees, your ankles, your feet on the ground. So something else that can be really helpful, actually super helpful when we've had a fright or a stress response in the body, is to literally shake it off. And you've probably heard people say, oh, shake it off. But there's really some good science behind that. So when we have this nervous system response, the fight or flight response, most of the time we don't actually fight or run, right? We just continue sitting, doing what we were doing or whatever it was that we were doing. But the body has all this energy and it gets kind of stuck. And so shaking can kind of unstick that energy, and it's called discharging the energy of the nervous system. So you can just give your body a shake, just any old way that feels good. Right? You can shake one leg at a time, shake the other, shake your shoulders, be careful with your neck or anything else that might be a little bit sensitive. Making noise can be really helpful too. So very quick story, I was in the car a couple days ago and I thought we were going to rear end someone, and that flush of adrenaline came through my body, and almost so that I could feel the tunnel vision, I could feel the tension, all of that. We didn't hit the car, but my nervous system was completely charged with adrenaline. I was ready. And so I sat in the car and I just shook. I shook my body and made some noise, and it just brought that charge down, and it brought me right back to a place of equilibrium. So moving your body when you feel stress, shaking it out, it can be all you need to discharge that trigger. All right, so one other way of shaking that I kind of like as well, here you might want to hold your chair again. You're going to come up onto your toes and you just bounce here. So you're just kind of bouncing, knees are soft. And again, shoulders can be relaxed, and you can add a little jump if you like. Right, so just whatever feels good. There's no right or wrong way to shake. The only wrong way is if you shake something loose, like loose that shouldn't be loose. So we are going to, and just move your chair if you had a chair. We're going to start to make our way back to the ground now, and start to ease into our final relaxation for the class. So let's, before we do that, come back to mountain pose. Notice how you feel now. What are you aware of in your body? So after that shaking, I feel all tingly. You might feel something similar or completely different. I invite you to tune in to what's true for you. So feel the ground, feel your body, notice the space around you. Come back to your breath. Great. And then in whatever way is best for you to get to the floor, you're going to make your way down onto the ground again. And we'll come right to lie down. And I invite you, if you've got props, blankets, pillows, whatever, to make sure they're handy for you as you come to lie down. And as you come onto your back, you may again want to bring your knees up into your chest, stretch your back a little, give it a massage by doing some movement. Maybe circling the knees. Great, and we can do one last shake here by stretching the arms and legs up and just giving them a shake up in the air. Imagine you're shaking off whatever little bits of tension or stress may be clinging to you. And the knees in toward the body or straight to the ground. And we're going to start to prepare for our relaxation or Shavasana. So if there's any other movement that your body is wanting to do, please take your time to move in whatever way would feel good. And then getting yourselves comfortable. So you can bring a pillow or a folded blanket under your knees if you like. You can bring a blanket or pillow under your head. You might want to cover yourself. Hands can be on your body, on the ground. Legs can be bent or straight. Really, there's no rules. The main rule is that you're comfortable, and as much as possible, your spine is in its natural position. So you're not twisted to one side or another. If you prefer to sit, you're more than welcome to roll to your side and come to sit for the last part of the class. But for most people, lying down is generally preferred, a little more relaxed. So as you get yourself settled, take your time to come back to some of these resources that we've been working with today. So the first one we really focused on was feeling the ground. So come back to that now, feeling the earth beneath you. As you exhale, feel your body weight drop down into the earth. So eyes can be open or closed. If your eyes are open again, try to soften your gaze and let it widen. And if your eyes are closed, this is already giving your nervous system and your brain the message that you're safe. And if your eyes are open and your gaze is soft again, giving your nervous system the message that it's safe. Come back to your intention for today's class if you had an intention. And check in, is your intention in alignment with where you're at right now? Are you in alignment with your intention? Exhale and soften even more. Take in the sounds around you as just noise in the background. You're aware of it. Just like widening your peripheral vision, widening your auditory sense and listening. Like the sounds or wallpaper in the background. Let each exhalation draw you down into more of a relaxed place. Softening all of the muscles now. Relax your jaw, your face, the muscles of your scalp, the neck, and down into the shoulders. Relaxing the body, we give a strong message to the brain that there's no threat, we're safe. And when the brain and the nervous system and the body all believe that we're safe, there's no threat, no stress, the systems of our body work much better. We're not hoarding resources for fighting or running away. Those resources are then available for digestion, for heart health, for your circulation, all of the functions of your body. And this is why stress is the #1 cause of illness. It affects everything. Soften even more. Let your arms and shoulders, your hands relax and soften. If your jaw is clenched, let your teeth surfaces move away from each other and feel how that relaxes your neck and shoulders as well. Relax your rib cage, your upper back. Soften and relax your belly, your lower back, all around your hips. Relax your thighs. Feel your knees let go, just a little bit more. Calves, ankles. We worked a lot with the feet today. So letting all of that relax, noticing what's present. If you were able to find a place in your body that felt good, you might send your attention there for a moment. And let that good feeling place spread to other parts of your body where it's able. And as you continue to rest, I'm going to share with you today the simplest chant. It's one word. The word is Shanti. And when it's chanted, it's Shantihi. The word means peace. So as I repeat the sound of the word Shanti, you can also repeat it in your own mind, either the Sanskrit Shanti or the English peace. And as you repeat this idea, this sound, this word, feeling as though you're inviting it into the cells of your body. Peace in my cells, Shanti in my bones. You can continue repeating silently to yourself, peace or shanti, sending that peaceful energy into your cells, into your whole body. We'll take another minute or two with this. So as always, if you want to stay a little bit longer in Shavasana, if you feel like you need a bit more time to integrate the practice or to rest or relax, depending on how your day is, you're more than welcome to stay in Shavasana. And if you're ready to move on with your day, you can start to deepen your breath, bringing energy into your body, wiggling your fingers and toes. And gradually moving and stretching your body any way that would feel good. And eventually, if you're coming back upright, if you've been lying down, I recommend rolling to your side just to make it so relaxed and easy, keeping all of that good, relaxed feeling as you come upright. And then bringing your palms together. If you created an intention for the class, you can revisit that intention now. And if it's appropriate with your intention to take it out into your day with you, I invite you to have that as a goal or an intention into your day or into your week. And if that doesn't work, you can just let it go. Maybe thanking your intention for providing support through the practice, and then let it go. And deep, deep gratitude to yourself for taking the time out of your day to be here, to give this time of rejuvenation, resilience, and thriving, and letting that carry through into the rest of your life, into everything that you do. Namaste.